Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Nebrasketball Brunch Show. It is Friday. It doesn't necessarily seem like Friday, but it is Friday. It is about brunch time. You might not even know what time it is, but yes, it's 11 a.m. Central Time, and that is the time that Kaleb, Henry, and I gather to talk a little Nebraska basketball, despite taking a bit of time off. This is the first I-80 club thing I've done for a long time. It's been a while. Had some time off, but this is me getting back on the horse again. Good morning, Kaleb.
Good morning. The team has played 4 games since we did this last.
That's right.
An entire trip to Hawaii.
The entirety of the Hawaii game, and then of course the Southern game on Monday night. So we got a lot to talk about today. Just want to mention real quick before we get started, you're either watching us, if you're watching us live, on the YouTube channel for Husker Max or for the I-80 Club. If you haven't yet, make sure and like and subscribe those pages, like the show. That's where you're going to be able to find us every week live on either of those pages. We are on both. So if you haven't subscribed to both, go ahead and do that. Lots of great additional content. And if you want more of this content as well, you can get some of it for free. Kaleb and I will be joining Jacob Bigelow for After Nebrasketball after nearly every game for the rest of the season. We have two exceptions, I believe. Yep. 2 exceptions, I believe, because of either late nights or some scheduling conflicts. But out of whatever's left, Kaleb, 18 games, I believe we have 16 of them where we'll be doing and that's in the regular season. Yep. We'll make some plans for the postseason too. Those are free to everybody. You can see those on the same YouTube page. We start about 15 minutes after the game ends. Bigelow always has great insight. He talks to us right after at home games. He's had a chance to talk to Fred Hoiberg and the team. So it's a lot of fun to do that right after the games. And so we are going to get going with that on a very regular schedule starting tomorrow after the UCLA game. So we've got that. And I guess the only other thing is, if you even would like some more content beyond that from the I-80 Club, Josh Peterson and I do some members-only shows on Saturday and Wednesday that you can see live. If you join our Patreon, you can just get the shows, the links for the YouTubes or the podcasts at patreon.com/I-80 Club for $3 a month. Or if you want to join our Discord and our thriving community where you'll be hearing the chat, you can be a part of our commenter section for all of our shows. You can go with the $5 option, which is called the community option. So maybe a fun thing to do for 2025, and especially as it looks like Nebrasketball is going to at least make things interesting here into the new year. So that just all of that out of the way, time to discuss Nebrasketball. And we always start, Kaleb, with our NCAA tournament confidence meter. We rate every week how confident on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10, I suppose, that we are that Nebraska will make the NCAA tournament. I can start. I was at 5.5 last time, and that was coming right off of what game? I don't even it's been so long.
That was coming off of the win over Indiana.
Okay, a good win over Indiana. So Nebraska's won 4 games in that time, as you mentioned. They've gone from 7-2 to 11-2 in that time, with wins over Murray State, Hawaii, and Oregon State, of course, in the Diamond Head Classic, and then that game against Southern on Monday. I was impressed how they handled business, Kaleb. We talked about how they had to handle business. It was incredibly important. But I also think not only did they do it, but they did it pretty much in a way that only increased my confidence from where it had been. And so I am going to notch up an entire point. I will go from 5.5. I will be at 6.5 for this week going into the UCLA game. 6.5 put me down, I believe, the highest I've ever been this year. I am at the top so far this year of my confidence in Nebraska going to the NCAA tournament from where I've been before. So how about you?
There were a couple of things we had said in the preseason that Nebraska needed to do to get to the start of the year, to 2025. You had to go at least 2-1 out of Creighton, St. Mary's, and Hawaii. Did that. You needed to at least split your mid-December Big Ten games.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to be at least 11-2 to start 2025. Did that. We wanted to see Brice Williams get some killer instinct in him. Well, he's been, by multiple publications, on the National Player of the Year or National Player of the Week list.
For sure. Yep.
That. Wanted to see the team rebound better. They've done all of that through 13. We've liked what we've seen from Bearcay. I've liked what we've seen from a 6'5" Raleigh Wooster. Essegian has gone off on some games. I like what I see. They've ticked every box they needed to this point. I'm a 9.5.
Whoa!
9.5. I love it. I have loved everything I have seen. They went through, yes, they lost that Michigan State game. But in the grand scheme of where everything can be, they bounced back and did everything correct. And now at 11-2, with 18 Big Ten games to go, they are exactly where they need to be. They are right on pace. I'm a 9.5.
Jeez. Wow. My thing. And you were big mad after that Michigan State game, and now it's basically all been erased.
Yes.
I mean, it has all been erased.
It's been erased. As a matter of it has gone the other direction for me.
Where did you start the entire season? I forgot. 9?
I was a 9 or a 9.2.
Okay.
Probably a 9.
You
I
were
bet
in
I was
some
a 9.
weird decimal range.
I bet I was a 9.
So you are 9.5 that they get in. Wow.
Yes.
That's definitely higher than I'm willing to go right now. I'm 6.5. It encompasses exactly how I feel right now. I think it's slightly better than 50-50 proposition right now as you go into league play.
But they've done everything we said they needed to do right now.
Right. Yes, I know. It's just, I think I still have some residual feeling after all of this is over that they've not yet really been tested by, the quality of opponents consecutively that they'll see in the Big Ten. And that's going to present a new and different challenge. And I'm not saying they can't handle it, but I still need to see that, I think, right? I still need to see them go on the road and probably get at least, 1, maybe 2 wins on the road during this conference season.
Yeah,
we can talk.
You have Big East writers right now talking about Creighton and saying nobody wins in Omaha. Nobody wins in the
That's true. That's true. They did get
Nebraska
that win.
beat the brakes off of them.
That's true. That's true.
So I know that Creighton win is looking worse and worse by the day because of how the Blue Jays are playing, but Creighton's playing well at home, and Nebraska has won there twice in a row, including this year, and did the things they needed to do in 2024 to springboard into 2025.
All your points are sound, right? I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm
disappointed in you. I'm still disappointed in how pessimistic or maybe that's not the word, reserved. Why are you so reserved with this team when there is so much going well into the new year?
Because they haven't had a true quality win. And is that Creighton game even that? Have they had a true quality win so far? I mean, I think Indiana's further down on the bubble than Nebraska is right now, right?
Yeah.
St. Mary's is not looking at, they've got a couple of losses since they played Nebraska. There's just, and again, it's not to say those were bad. It's just, I just think the level of competition generally goes up. And you don't have to look any further, Kaleb, than like these first 5 games that we've talked about, right? You're starting out, of course, on Saturday versus UCLA. We'll talk a lot about that. Then right away, Tuesday, you turn around, you go to Iowa. A quick turnaround. They have had just days and days, weeks in between games so far this year. And so it's just going to be a real change in the rhythm for this team because they played, I mean, my goodness, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they played, Wednesday, Sunday, the next Saturday, the next Friday, and then of course the 3 out of 4 days in Hawaii, but then another 5-day period and then another week period after that. So it's been a lot. And then they'll do Saturday UCLA, Tuesday at Iowa, Sunday at Purdue, Thursday versus Rutgers at home, Sunday at Maryland. That's 3 that'll be 3 road trips in 12 days.
Mhm.
That you'll have that. And I mean, if you want to throw in, make it 19 days, you'll be in Wisconsin after you have USC at home as well, and then
Right.
come back home for Illinois. I mean, they're all pretty big games, but the beginning third of the schedule starts, I think, especially difficult for Nebraska. And they're going to be jumping into it. Now, again, I'm not look, there's no way I'd be surprised if they beat UCLA on Saturday. Okay.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. Pinnacle Bank Arena has become difficult, but even if you do hold serve all year or almost all year at Pinnacle Bank Arena, the rest of the year, you probably are still going to have to get a couple of games on the road in the Big Ten to be where you want to be in the tournament. I would say we can break that down a little bit later as well, but
Yeah.
that's go ahead.
When we get the schedule that had initially come out a couple months ago, I talked with Bigelow, and we actually identified this upcoming 5-game stretch as the toughest 5 games on the schedule. So that's what Nebraska is walking into right now.
The toughest 5 games consecutively on the schedule.
Consecutively, yes. Not
I
just
think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
Like yeah, man, they're really, I guess the only one you could argue is actually it intersects it a little bit, but starting with at Maryland, you have a break. USC is at home is kind of a break, but you got at Maryland, USC, at Wisconsin, Illinois at home, at Oregon. That is probably actually the hardest, but that sort of intersects with this 5
right.
games.
Yeah.
So,
It's this stretch over. Well, and if you combine those two, that's a stretch of 9. You can get to the stretch of
9. Yeah,
10 to get to Washington, where you complete the Pacific Northwest trip, and that gets you into mid-February. Like,
yes, it's the first exact half. It's isn't it exactly? Yeah, it's the exact first half of the schedule.
Yes.
The second half is looks right now, based on what we think these teams are and where the games are located, the second half looks a lot more forgiving than the first half, I would say.
Yeah. But you're which I think is good. I think right now you're fresh going into this. You haven't been beaten down by a Big Ten schedule, so you have the opportunity in front of you with this tougher first half compared to the second half, at least on paper, where things are right now. I think this sets up well for Nebraska. And you talk about, okay, did not look good at Michigan State and have had Indiana's number. Okay, so those two things kind of go both directions. But when we look at what Nebraska has done so far through 13 games, it's not the win you wanted it to be, and maybe things could change over the next couple months, but that win at Creighton is good. It's not great. It's not the holy crap, they upset a top 10 team, storm the court type of win that you would like it to be when you go into Omaha and win. It's still very, very good. Now, went out to Hawaii. Oregon State's no slouch. Still got the win. Beat Hawaii in Hawaii for the first time in like 40 years. There's not a lot of opportunities, but Hawaii plays really well at home in these dumb tournaments where they get all of the calls. And Nebraska went and handled them. Things have gone well for Nebraska, I think, to set up into this stretch here. And as we said, Brice Williams has played really, really well since the last time we talked, Jack. And it has been phenomenal to see what he has decided that he can do. Like, we've known that he can do this. He has had to make the decision to go do it. And he has done that over the last 4 games for Nebraska, including the stretch in Hawaii where he was the tournament MVP.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because I don't remember which, I think it was before the Indiana game, Kaleb, we had talked about how we really would love to see Brice doing things like, just taking over when Nebraska really needs a bucket and getting closer to forcing it than not, right? He felt like he might be a little bit too passive, and I hate to use the cliche, being the alpha, because that's what everyone says, but going in there and then getting the and ones when he does take those difficult shots, hitting them. And since we said that, he's done all of that. I mean, he really has done all of that since that point. Williams led 3 of the 5 games, including the Indiana game. He had 30 against Indiana. He had 32 against Hawaii. He had 25 against Oregon State. He was in the teens against Murray State and against Southern, and he didn't even have to play that much against Southern in some ways. And Essegian was hitting shots in those other games, so he ended up being the leading scorer in those other two games. That said, he was everything you wanted him to be in those games. In the Indiana game, he was the high rebound man. He was the high assist man in 4 of those 5 games. He has been all around as good as we've ever seen him for a multiple stretch of games. And that is the most encouraging thing. There were 2 things we worried about, right? Will he become the guy that you need him to be, right? Go from being a star to a superstar in the conference to being an all-conference player. So far, so good on that. And then the next thing that we talked about again was finding additional scoring options, just straight up scoring options. That's still, it's clearly Essegian on some nights. I do still wonder if there needs to be a little bit more of that, if there still needs to maybe be a person who's a little bit more reliably offensively. But and Morgan's chipped in and done. Sometimes it's been Morgan, sometimes it's been Gary, sometimes it's been Essegian on this team.
I'd like a lot more out of Berke.
I think that's probably what it is when you come down to it. Kaleb is just a bigger Berke to be more of a scoring threat, more of an offensive force for this team. I think that probably is the next step for me that needs to be taken. And if you get that, the roster is set up pretty good for this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything out of Griffiths except for the end of that Southern game. And I don't know if that's promising or not. We can delve into that as a separate matter, but you're not getting anything from him. So that's certainly a disappointment, but I think Andrew Morgan's probably better than you expected him to be. I think Mia at times is better than you expected him to be, even though he's got his little things as well. Sam Hoiberg, not necessarily offensively, but I think you're getting more out of him than you expected to this year.
Yeah, defensively, he's still being the glove down there.
He's got a lot of minutes this year.
And you're getting the bits and pieces of Cale Jacobson as he's developed over time. So yeah, the rotation has worked itself out. Remember when we were talking about after, I think the season opener, we're like, where are the minutes going to go? Because you had like 10, 11 guys. Who's going to get the minutes? How are they going to shake out? Well, they're starting to really shake themselves out in that you're getting Brice Williams for 29 a game, Wooster and Gary for 25.
Yep.
Berke and Essegian for 23.
There it is. Right.
Like that's really where it is. And then you get into some of your big rotation with Morgan and Mia at 16 and 15 each. Aaron Eulis with 15, though he's missed a few games and he's a game time decision for tomorrow. And Sam Hoiberg at 18.
Right.
18 a game.
Like I said, he's getting a lot of minutes right now.
And
he's getting a lot of minutes, and pretty much, he's not a scorer at all. So that's not been his role.
Then you clean some things up. Cale Jacobson has played in 10 games this year, 6-minute average. Gavin Griffiths, 9 games this year, 11 minutes averaging.
Yeah.
So there's kind of your, can you go get me a minute late in the first half because we have some foul trouble? That's what that position is now for Cale Jacobson. And he's really taken that away from what we thought maybe could have been a Gavin Griffiths role. If he wasn't stepping up and hitting some more shots. Griffiths is now that next one after Jacobson. But you saw at the end of the Southern game, if he gets looks and he's hot, he scored 8 points in like 90 seconds.
Yep.
So, and yes, that's end of the bench guys. But that tells you if he can go do that at the end of the game there, maybe you get to 90 seconds to 2 minutes left in the first half in one of these Big Ten games. And you go, Essegian's in foul trouble. Williams is in foul trouble. Which these are very real things that can happen in the Big Ten. Yeah. You can be like, we fouled 15 times in the first half, and they got
especially Williams
guys. Yeah. And you go, Gavin, can you go out there and we need some offensive production? We're going to obviously don't be an absolute liability on defense, but we're looking to you on offense. over here. If you can get open on the wing, if you can get open in a corner, if you can take a guy off the bounce. And those are things like that's got to be a role for him that he can come in late in a half and be that guy when he needs to be. I don't know that he is necessarily shown he can.
Right.
But if he's looking to carve out a role, that role is not 15 to 20 minutes a night right now. That role is hope you get to 5, but you got to score while you're out there. And I think we're going to see a little bit what does Cale Jacobson look like now that you're into Big Ten games, not these non-conference games? Does something switch a little bit? Like, is he big enough? Is he going to be physical enough to be out there? I'm not looking at Gavin Griffiths as physical, but if you can score the ball, that makes up for it a little bit. But we've really established what is that top 8-9. What is that rotation you're going to see for 37 to 38 minutes of the night?
Yeah. I'm not like, I was happy to see it for Griffiths. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was thrilled to see him making shots in the bench.
Crowd got loud.
Jumping out down. What?
Crowd got loud. They love it.
Crowd got loud. They loved it. They want to urge him on to being good. And so I was happy for him to see it. Like, I don't want him to come in here and feel like he had made a bad decision, or it's just not gone how he wants it. That said, I mean, I'm not sure that I believe in that as a thing now, just because in garbage time against Southern, it worked, right? I'm going to need to see it somewhere else first on that. The other thing to mention is in this streak, I'm trying to think the last time Ulis, I think, played against Indiana, but hasn't played since. Is that right? Did he get in against? I got to see if he got minutes against. I don't even remember if he got minutes against Southern. No, Indiana was his last game. So,
okay, yeah.
They haven't had him through these games either. Don't necessarily look worse for the wear, right? I don't know. The point guard position, Worcester's at 2.8 assists per game right now. Brice is just behind him at 2.5. I still don't quite get how Worcester fits into this whole thing, to be honest. Like, the most happy I am with him is when he decides to just use his size and go inside and score on someone who's smaller than guarding him. Like, that's still the best thing I see from him game to game.
Yes.
Kind of I call it the Sam Griesel, not that Sam Griesel patented it, but that's a reference that we all get when he kind of goes big point guard on someone offensively and finds some points that are there. But, outside of that, I don't know. I don't totally quite still. He's got, 22 turnovers during the course of the year, which I guess isn't terrible. Brice actually has more, is turning it over at a higher rate than he is. But I'm still hoping to find him being, I'd still love to see him setting up Essegian and Brice more, I guess is the way that I would say it. I want him to be putting those guys in good places to score more often.
Yeah. And I think that's what he needs to do. It's just tough at times because Brice Williams scores, in my opinion, his best with just the ball in his hands.
I know.
Essegian scores the best off the pass. Yes. And a lot of in Bear K can do a little bit of both. And you start to go down, you're like, okay, well, your best scorer scores his best with just kind of doing things himself. That eliminates some assist opportunities. Nebraska, as a matter of fact, has assisted on roughly 50% of their made baskets. So I don't, and see, that's a thing where, like, you look at that number.
It is happening.
It's there. It's not like they're not getting any assists. It helps that Brice can dish the ball out as well, and you kind of everyone chips in a little bit here and there. I would like for Worcester to continue to use the size he is, but it would be nice if he was getting 5-6 assists a game. Now, some of that also, let's not put it all on him. Some of it also is for, out of these 13 games, at least half of them, the team shot like hot garbage.
Yeah.
So if nobody is hitting shots, you're not getting assists no matter how open they are, no matter how good of a pass it was. So the team has to make more shots also. And I think that'll, obviously, if somebody makes a shot off of a pass, it produces an assist. But that'll produce more when you're looking at just the bare statistics, when you're looking at a box score, when you're looking at what is Wooster contributing. I think other guys just need to hit more shots too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, it is interesting. And I had heard that during the stat about how many baskets are being assisted on during some of these games. And for some reason, sometimes you just don't notice it, or it's getting spread out a little bit, I guess, in terms of how often it happens. But it's usually Brice and Raleigh, a little bit Berke. I think he's a good passer too. We've seen a bit of that as well. The one thing that, a couple of things I was worried about going into the season that so far have been really alleviated. Is just 3-point shooting in general has gotten a lot more. It's been pretty good since we last talked against Indiana. I mean, they couldn't miss. Connor Essegian shoots 6 for 12 against Southern. I mean, come on, that was ridiculous. You go back to the Oregon State game. I got to think back. I feel like that was a long time ago, but they were 8 for 20 in that one. Berke, that was one where Berke got hot, right? And got 3 for 4 during the course of that game. You go to the other Hawaii game, the one actually against Hawaii in that game. And on that one, 3-point wise, Nebraska shot 7 for 17, 41%. Like, you'll take that. Pretty good once again. And that time you had Brice, who hit 4 for 5 in that game. He was red hot. So you've had 3 red hot 3-point shooters in 3 different games with this. And I think we watched at the beginning of the year and we're like, oh man, are there no shooters on this team? or just Connor Essegian a shooter and he's going to be really streaky. He's kept up his pace. I haven't looked recently, but he was in the top, I believe in the top 30 in the nation when I looked, I think after Hawaii, in terms of 3-point percentage of people who had shot the minimum. So he has definitely kept it up, and Brice has done it. Berke has done it a little bit as well. And so maybe I was over worried about the outside shooting. We'll see.
Yeah. And in some of that, let's look at, so for Raleigh, talking about those assists and the shooting, helping that out. He had 6 assists, no turnovers against Southern. He had 4 assists, 1 turnover against Oregon State. He was even against Hawaii. He had 1 more turnover than assist against Murray State.
Maybe I'm being too hard on him.
I think it's because, and here's why. I think both of us are a little bit. We watched the first few games of the year, and some of what we saw is just how we formed our opinions. And I think in some of the other games, subsequent games, we go, yeah, Brice Williams is taking over a little bit more. That's what we were saying he needed to do. Yeah, Jawan Gary's doing this. That's what we said he needed to do. I think those first few games formed a lot of our opinion. And you go the first 4 games of the year, Raleigh Wooster, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 assists, 5 turnovers, 1 and 1, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. That's those first 4 games, and he is steady in the negative on his assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
Since then, though, he's only been in the negative 1 time. Like he's gone through against, I know it's South Dakota, but 6 assists, 1 turnover, 3 assists, no turnovers against North Florida. Right. So I think we both did this, and this is more me talking to myself than talking to you on it, is that I think those first few games went, wow, he's super turnover prone without racking up a lot of assists. Like if he was going 12 assists, 5 turnovers, I'm like, I don't like 5 turnovers a game, but I like 12 assists. So I think we would live with that. It's just that number is so low that it feels like it's a very fine line on that was a good night of handling the ball. That was a bad night of handling the ball. Since those first 4 games, he has really handled it well from an assist to turnover ratio perspective that I think I need to get out of my own head on what I decided he was over the first few games. Yeah. Because he's done a lot better. I still think if guys are hitting shots, those numbers can be even better than what they have been. Yeah.
So things that have been a pleasant surprise, real quick, just to kind of recap what we said there. Brice has made the progression from good to great that we needed to see from him. That's happened. Connor Essegian has continued. It wasn't just an early hot streak for him. You know, double-digit threes and made 50% in 2 of the last 4 games. Like, it's crazy. He's hitting at a ridiculous pace right now. I mean, you haven't done. I don't know if you've run the Keisei comparison again with him recently.
I need to.
You should, but I can't imagine Keisei through whatever amount of games was anywhere near where he is in terms of either number of threes made or percentage. Right? I wouldn't think so. And then maybe in the other stats as well, if you want to kind of look at that. So I think those things are check marks right now in terms of the things that we needed to see. Turnovers still, even though what you said about Raleigh, you still have times when turnovers just become, it feels like contagious on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's still a need with this team, is they seem to be the biggest enemy of themselves when they can't get a shot off, when they can't get shots going. So that is still a little bit of an issue that rears its head every once in a while. You're going to play better defensive teams where that will continue to be an issue as well. But like I said, like you said, all in all, I mean, Hoiberg's done a good job. And the thing is, Kaleb, you kind of think with a team like this that has got so many new parts, and I know to some degree everyone does, but Nebraska has a lot of new parts coming in from last year that are getting a lot of minutes, that there should be some things that improve over the course of a season, and you're only halfway done. You get more comfortable with the guys you're playing with. You see them in game situations more often. You know what their tendencies are. You know what to look for. I think that probably still happens with this team, especially, Raleigh, Berke, Morgan, those guys all being new guys. Mia being a new guy as well, obviously with that whole thing. So that's something to look forward to too with the conference season.
So we can look just the very basic one, because the first thing you're going to look at is the 3-point shooting, right? Mm-hmm. So let me find, where's Connor Essegian? He is 35 for 79, and
jeez,
it was 20.
He's going to get close to 50%. What?
Yeah, it was 28 for 75 through 13 for
Keisei.
Yeah.
So say Connors again for me.
So Keisei 28 for 75.
Okay.
And Connor 35 for 79.
Okay, number one, Essegian shot more threes than Keisei. Wow.
Well, has shot 4 more and made 7 more.
Is that in the same amount of games?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, 13 games. Only 3 starts for Essegian. You had more starts for Keisei in that time. The problem with doing the game by game is it's hard to look at where any of those numbers are. I know when we had done it before, it was like over the first 7. And so through these first 13, and you have to add in the 28-point Indiana game for Keisei, he had 3 games over the first 13 where he scored more than 20 points.
Okay. And then Essegian has 29 against South Dakota, 22 against North Florida, 20 against Southern.
So in that same range. But yeah, if you're looking strictly what is the 3-point shooting, because you imagine that being taller, being a little bit better defensively, the ability to be more physical, Essegian is kind of going to have those other things on Keisei. Just the strict 3-point shooting, you're getting it from Connor. Yeah. You've got your replacement on the threes.
Now here's where you don't have, I mean, Essegian's averaging 12.4 a game. I know Keisei was higher than that, just in points per game last year. He was getting to the free throw line more. He was getting buckets by the hoop more often than Essegian. You don't get that from Essegian that you got from Keisei.
Yeah, just the backdoor stuff that he would do really, really well.
Yes. So that's one of the things you don't get. Do you have Keisei's just averages, full season averages pulled up right now, or can you? It'd be interesting.
I can get his full season average. These first 13, by the way.
I don't care if it's not the full 13. I'd just like to see how it compares to what Essegian's right now are.
Yeah.
right?
First of all, the first 13, he averaged 14.2 points a game.
Okay, so a little bit more, and that's due to that more of those baskets by the hoop
Yep.
and more free throws, probably.
For the season, 32 starts on 32 games.
Okay.
He averaged 15 minutes a game.
All right, right now, Essegian's average 23.3.
He averaged shooting 46.6% from the field.
From the field, Essegian's 45.
37.6 from three.
44.3% for Essegian.
He shot 80 free throws on the year, made 70 of them.
Okay, I thought it would be more than that. Essegian's got 32, so he's not way behind that.
No, like that's ballpark enough, you know. Rebounds, he had 2.3 rebounds a game.
Let's see, Essegian's got 2.7.
Let's see, he had 45 assists on the year, which is 1.4 a game.
Yeah, that's now he distributed it better. That's Essegian has half that, 0.7.
And had just over a turnover a game, had just under a steal a game.
And Keisei got more steals than did Essegian, even though I wouldn't say he's a better defender than Essegian necessarily.
Well, I think he read passes really well.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were times something would get skipped out and he cheated up.
Yeah, that's true.
He cheated a lot.
That's true.
And didn't get burned probably as much as he should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, he defensively, he found a way to get those steals. I do think overall, I would like if it's okay, I've got to go man to man on somebody. And I know Nebraska does a really good job with the scheme. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's not just all dependent on one guy's got to go lock someone down. The scheme is really good, but it's nice when you have people who can do that, like Juwan Gary, like you see in spurts from Sam Hoiberg. But I think Essegian is much more that guy than Keisei was.
C. Dasker on the Discord says, amazing what a change of scenery will do for a guy. 2 years ago, I hated Essegian with a fiery passion. Now I love that little rosy cheeked sharpshooter. Yeah, he's been impressive with the shooting this year. There's no doubt about that. By the way, do you realize Brice Williams is shooting 42.6% from three?
That's awesome.
He's 20. He's 20 for 47. Is he not shooting threes enough?
And 51% from the field. Yeah.
Like, is he still not shooting enough? Could the case be made? I don't know. I don't. It's an interesting question. Bigelow texted. Bigelow's watching.
How many shots is he taking a game?
How many shots is he taking a game? Williams. He is
11 a game.
11 shots a game. So.
And almost 4 threes a game,
which twice as much as anyone else on the team.
Yeah.
So, but he's taken like half the threes taken half the 3-point attempts that a little more than half that Connor Essegian has. Here's a gap that needs to change. Brice Williams, 47 3 attempts. Juwan Gary, 43 3 attempts. That's what I was. They're like this. I'd like to see those like this.
I need the Brice Williams to Juwan Gary ratio to be closer to what the Connor Essegian to Brice Williams ratio.
Yes, I agree. Juwan, get inside. Come on, man, get inside. Although I've had a lot of no, yes moments with Juwan Gary with the threes too. So I can't say too much about that.
And he's had a couple of decent shooting nights from out there.
Yep. Bigelow says,
okay.
Bigelow said on a text to me, he was listening. Shout out, Jacob. I'll talk to you tomorrow. He said, does Brice know how good he can be?
That's a good call.
Yeah. So anyway, that's interesting. One last thing before looking backwards, I want to do before we look forward. I went through and did a little analysis. This is kind of interesting of all of Nebraska's games against non-power, whatever it is in college basketball, Power 4 conferences, Power 5, and compared what Nebraska did to other power conference teams against them. And it reflects like really well on Nebraska.
Okay.
Looking at this. So go from the beginning of the season. And first game is that Rio Grande Valley game. Nebraska beats them by 20.
Mm-hmm.
Creighton beat them by 13. We all remember that game. It was when Kalkbrenner had gobs and gobs of points. But Creighton only beat them by 13. Wisconsin only beat them by 3. Did you realize that? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, that was the game. So it wasn't even the Creighton one. It was that Wisconsin one where people started going, oh.
Yeah, no, I do kind of remember
the Vaqueros might be pretty good.
Yeah. Bethune-Cookman was the one rough game for Nebraska. That one got everybody worried a little bit. Nebraska wins that one by 5, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech beat them by 33. Minnesota beat them by 17. Virginia beat them by 18. West Virginia beat them by 23. Mississippi State beat them by 14. So that was the worst performance of the year by Nebraska against anyone relative to what others have. That's a tough schedule Bethune-Cookman played, by the way. Now, Fairleigh Dickinson, Nebraska beat by 26. Remember that game. Miami had beaten them by 40, so Miami really blew them out. Creighton also beat them by exactly 26. Minnesota beat them by 14. Boston College beat them by 6. Nebraska beat South Dakota by 17. Iowa beat that same team by 19. St. Mary's, Nebraska lost to. They've beat since then Utah and USC. They beat USC by 1 million. If you remember that.
Yeah.
They do have losses to Utah State, Boise, and Arizona State, though, does St. Mary's. So they have 3 losses. Mm-hmm. Then North Florida, Nebraska beat by 31. You remember this probably. That team had already beaten South Carolina and Georgia Tech when they came into Lincoln, beat Georgia by 13. Florida since beat them by 54. Mm-hmm. Jeez. But still, Nebraska right up the top of that. Beat Murray State by 17. The only other Power 5 team they played was Pitt. At Pitt, and that was 15. They beat them by. They beat Hawaii by 14. North Carolina had beat them by 12. Beat Oregon State by 12. Oregon had beat them by 3. Right? Beat Southern by 34. This is maybe the most impressive one. Beat Southern by 34. USC had beaten them by 31. Ole Miss beat them by 13. And Iowa beat them by 15. I think there was another one in there that I missed for Southern that I kind of recall. But anyway, just to give you an idea, on the whole, Nebraska performed better against almost all these opponents.
Yeah,
really, except for that Bethune-Cookman one, than most anyone else, much of anybody else than they played as a power conference team. That may or may not mean that much, but I thought that was worth kind of pointing out in terms of how in that Southern game. I think really was the epitome of that, the way that they won that game, just going away. And you wondered about, is that going to be one of the weird holiday games that Nebraska's had for so many years? And it just wasn't. They from the jump, they blew that team out. And that's
a stupid athletic team. Like some of the stuff that they did in transition, we were like, oh my God.
Dude, has a team ever had lost by 34 and had that many Sports Center top 10 plays?
We were watching those. I was like, all right, you guys are getting the highlight reels going. Good.
Hilarious.
So when you put together, like when the team does all right, Lincoln, Nebraska trip, cinematic recap. Well, you guys had some stuff to put in that recap.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, also we lost by 1 million, but did you see these plays? These were pretty darn good plays.
Right. Nebraska seems to have given up some of the most noteworthy highlights of the year so far. You had the butt alley-oop.
Oh, my God.
Against
I
Michigan
knew the first one you were going to say was the butt alley-oop.
And then didn't Hawaii somebody do something like that off their butt or something like that? I can't remember. They had something else.
Yeah.
C. Days says Southern was full of D1 athletes, not D1 athletes, not D1 basketball players. Is what he says. Which I get what he means. Yeah, they were great athletes.
Yeah,
super athletic. What do you think, Kaleb? I know we've talked about this before, so it probably hasn't changed. But what do you think the win total in the regular season is to make you feel safe about getting into the tournament? Is it 19? Is it 20? I assume it's probably one of those two numbers, but I don't know. Maybe it's more than that. Nebraska's non-con was a little better this year than it was last year.
I think Nebraska is they're right there if they get to 19. I think they're right there. You feel a lot better when you have that 20 next to it.
Yeah.
Like there's just something visually that no matter how good a team is, you can be stupid good. But if you have that 2 next to your name instead of a 1, or for the record, it just looks a lot better. And whether it's 20, 22, 25, whatever it is, That 2 looks so much prettier than the 1, and it doesn't matter when you start to look through some of the resumes. You're like, well, this team was 20 and whatever, and this team was 19 and whatever. You just instinctually you go, yeah, the one that got to 20, the one that got to the 2.
20, I would feel safe with. Yeah. I think I would almost. I mean, would you feel totally safe? Like, I'm looking at the team rankings site, which has a lot of projections and percentages. It's interesting to look at. I don't know how much stock you should put in it, but they say if Nebraska gets to 20 wins, they've got a 92% of making the NCAA tournament. Yeah. They say at 19, they've got a 70% chance. They say at 18, they've got a 31% chance. So I would say probably,
if Nebraska gets to 20, that means they split these last 18.
Yep.
You are at that point 20 and 11. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm at a 9.5 right now, and he said if they get to 20 wins, it's a 92%. That's pretty much where I'm at. I think this team is going to get 9 more wins.
So if they go, so they would end up with 20 regular season wins.
Yes.
In that scenario, and they would be exactly 500 in conference.
Yes.
So their record would be, let me see, 20 and 11, right?
Yes.
20 and 11, and then the conference record would be 10 and 10.
Yeah. I think
that's obviously you could win a game in the conference tournament then, and that could affect it. But let's just say you're dealing with just the regular season, assuming you lose the first game in the tournament. I still feel like I would be nervous in that scenario, just because of the 500 number in the conference. And again, I know year to year, just the bubble changes, so there's no complete guideline to what gets you in, but it is at least fun to think about.
But
what they need to do.
We also need to look at 500 in a 14-team league versus 500 in an 18-team league is different. Because there are more teams. You didn't have as many home and homes. There's such an unbalanced schedule. How does your schedule shake out? And what does everyone else look like?
It doesn't, more than anything, it doesn't mean the same as another team that got 500 in the same league, right?
Yes.
Just because the conference schedules within the conference could vary a lot.
Exactly. So Nebraska could go 500 and still finish, because of how big the league is, 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
Like you're still, you could be top half of the league by going 500. That's a real thing that you can do. Now, I had talked with Bigelow before the year, and I said, if Nebraska is in the top half, I would even say 10th in the standings for the league, I think they're making the NCAA tournament. Because at that point, you're going to be able to look at the unbalanced schedule and say, technically Nebraska finished 10th, but it's still a better record than what the 8th place team had. And there's some head-to-head stuff that you'll be able to look at. I think Nebraska is really good, like set up really well to just go 500 in the league. And if you do better than that, you're 100% in. But if you go at least 500 in the league, you're in a good place come Selection Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you're going to wish you had that St. Mary's win in that scenario.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then the other thing is, do you need to get road wins versus home wins in that scenario? Let's say you win out at home and lose out on the road, which that could happen, right? That's how it breaks down. 9 home games, 9 road games for the rest of the season in conference.
I mean, and like the initial look, that
you'd have some good wins.
You would have beaten UCLA, Rutgers, USC, Illinois, Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa.
Yep.
Like that feels like some good wins to have.
Your road game, the Washington game might be a bad loss. Your road games are Iowa, Purdue, Maryland, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington, Northwestern, Penn State, Ohio State. But essentially, you can kind of think of it this way: every home game you lose, you got to replace it with a road game.
Yes, you have to go. I feel a lot better about 500 in the league and getting to 20 and 11. Like, I still think you're in the conversation. You probably have to win 1 or 2 in the Big Ten tournament, but I don't like 19 and 12 as much as I like 20 and 11.
Yeah, I agree. 20's I think the bottom end of the goal to feel safe. And I'm not saying you can't get in with 19 or combo up with a good Big Ten tournament and get in.
Yeah.
20 is the bottom, is the basement of where I would like to be. And that means going 500. And that means every home game. So if you lose to UCLA, you're going to have to pick up a road win against Washington and Washington seems like a game you probably should win right now with how they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Northwestern, Penn State, feels like the potential wins there, but it's just kind of an easy sort of rule of thumb, and then if you go in on Tuesday and beat Iowa, then once you start picking up a road game that you shouldn't pick up, that's when things really start to get like, wow, you're starting to play from ahead then. Yeah,
you hold serve at home. You do what you got to do at home, and Nebraska's played really well at home over the last couple of years. But you do that, you steal a couple on the road, and then you're playing with house money when you get to the bigger games, and you go, hey, we're actually set up really well. We want to win this one. We're going to do everything we can to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't, we're not dead.
Yeah. Yep.
You're able to set yourself up for those types of opportunities.
Yeah, man, get that. Boy, if you get that one for Saturday. So UCLA is, I believe, 15th in the latest AP poll. If you take a look at their schedule this year and what they've done to get to where they are, I know they had a win against Gonzaga a couple weeks ago. That was pretty significant for them. Their two losses. They have a loss to New Mexico at home on second game of the year on November 8th, first week of the season. They got upset by New Mexico. And then their other loss is that 2-point loss to North Carolina. That was just before Christmas. Close game, 2-point loss there. Otherwise, their quality wins during the course of the year. Their conference games, they beat Washington by 9. They beat Oregon by 2. They beat Arizona by 3. They beat Gonzaga by 3. They won a lot of close games.
Yeah, they've been in a lot of tight games.
They've been in and won both a lot of close games. They haven't run away from any of those quality teams, really. And then none of their other wins, just looking at it real quickly, Prairie View A&M, Rider, Boston University, Lehigh, Idaho State, Fullerton, Southern Utah. So, yeah, I don't know. And after last night, I wonder how good Oregon is. Because I don't know if you saw this, Illinois just blew them out of the water in Oregon last night.
I'm still big on Illinois being at the top of this league.
You might be right on that. I know you said that a few weeks ago, that you thought they were the team to beat in the league.
And I'd feel better about it if they were able to get some of those big wins in the non-conference. But yeah, I still think Illinois is a man. I picked them, and I know some people were looking at Purdue. There are some people, I think Bigelow has talked about like UCLA being the team, the pick for a number of people. I think Illinois is going to be right there, top 2, top 3, if not winning it all when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Bilodeau and Kobe Johnson are their big guys in terms of statistical leaders. So that's those are the guys you're going to be looking for. They're the 2 leading rebounders. They're the 2 couple
they're
of the leading
6'9" and 6'8", by the way. They're big dudes.
Yep. Big guy, 6'8" guard. Come on now. Jeez. So yeah, they definitely have size on the team as well. And I don't know if Bigelow's still listening. He can always give a better scouting report because he watches just way more non-Nebraska college basketball than any of us. 37% 3-point shooting team for the year. 34 rebounds a game, 77 points a game. Some things to know about them. Turning it over 11 times a game, getting 9 steals per game, just to give you a little bit of an idea where they're at on those. And so, it's a concern that Nebraska, and Fred was talking about this the other day. Nebraska got to hang on to the ball. Can't be turning it over against UCLA because they'll make you pay.
But the big advantage that you have, two big advantages I'll say for Nebraska that you have tomorrow. Number one, you're at home. There's just, even if you go Bethune-Cookman or you go other like Creighton last year, Nebraska plays well at home and has over the last couple of years. And you're through kind of the holidays. I know this will be the last weekend that feels like a holiday weekend, but you're here. And the place got loud for Southern, cleared out a little bit early because the game was out of hand. but it's going to be jumping in there. It's going to be loud. You have that advantage. You're at home. They've had to travel 2 time zones. Okay, you've got that. It's a weird time on the game. And I know there's some of those on the weekend that are a little bit weird time. It's 11 a.m. for UCLA's body clock. So you've got that. You're at home. You have that advantage. You're playing really well right now. Nebraska is playing really well right now. And I know UCLA is coming off of that good win over Gonzaga, but Nebraska is playing really, really well and is at home. I think things set up for Nebraska to get a ranked win against a team that is going to be ranked at the end of this year too. They're not just ranked right now because of what they've done. I think they're going to be ranked. They're going to be easily in the NCAA tournament. And when you start looking at resumes and you go wins over tournament teams or teams that are in, this is one of those that you can check that box right now.
Yep. I mean, as it stands right now, if you go by AP rating, at least this is as it stands right now, this is the biggest home game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. Yeah. Opening up this big chunk. Now, Illinois will be big. Michigan will be big. Those 2 teams could both end up, they could end up being top 10 teams by the time that they come here. So it's such a clump in that group of the Big Ten, but those 2 teams come here. But that's probably, when you look at that home schedule and you look, what are going to be those games if they win that are going to feel like Purdue and Wisconsin did last year? It's tomorrow. It's Thursday, January 30th against Illinois. And then it's probably Michigan on Monday, February 24th. So there's a decent amount of space between all of those games. I guess they have Maryland Thursday, February 13th. That potentially, I think they're just out of the top 25 right now. So if they would start hot too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got the potential to be one of those games if they can play really well where it feels in PBA like it did against Purdue. Don't forget that Purdue game was during the holiday break too.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like students didn't have tickets. My son's
because the court storm, it was like, all right, there's no students, but we're still doing this, right?
my son, he's a student season ticket holder. They literally don't get tickets to these games. Mm-hmm. So he lives in town and he's like, Dad, I don't have tickets. I need to find some tickets. He's like, can you get me some tickets? I was like, you asked too late. I don't ever. Yeah. By the way, the tickets are in high demand right now. I read, I believe it was Husker Hoop Central said the cheapest tickets available on third-party websites is like $27, and that's in the third deck right now in the 300 level. So the weather isn't necessarily driving away the ticket demand, at least right now. And it sounds like the snow isn't supposed to start till the evening anyway. So hopefully that won't be a problem with people or the thing. So I just hope they can get into it for a 1:00 game. It is on a weekend, but hopefully they can turn that place. Because if they win that game, Kaleb, the legend of that place, maybe if even just in our own minds, is really going to start to get real.
Yeah. So if you go to the Huskers website, you click on tickets and you click buy, and it takes you to the third party. If you want a pair of tickets, you can get in there with a pair of tickets for $23 each. But you are in the 300s.
Okay. So in the $20 range for the 300s.
You can get for $55, you can be in one of the corners on the 100 level.
Okay. Not too bad.
There's some places that you can get, but you're right. You're going to have to pay those dollar amounts.
Yeah.
That number is only going to keep going up the more like you said, the legend of Nebraska playing at home continues to grow.
Yeah, I mean, they get this win and parlay it, right? It's going to become more of a discussion every time anyone comes here until they finally lose, because they've got this conference winning streak at home and they've taken out so many big teams throughout this whole process. And then it sets up, if they could get this, sets up Illinois coming in for that Thursday late night game coming up January 30th, assuming they can hold serve at home after that. And that all of a sudden, with what Illinois did last night, that looks like that'll be maybe the real big one.
Yeah.
For the season.
First up, though, UCLA tomorrow, 1:00. The game will be on Big Fox. as well. And about a little after 3, maybe 3:30, we'll go on with our After Nebrasketball. Jack Mitchell, me, and Jacob Bigelow.
Yep, that's the plan. And Nebraska's done well on national TV this year, so that's exciting too. That Indiana game was on Big Fox.
That's right.
So, yeah, so tune in. We'll probably be on about 3:15, 3:30, along with Jacob Bigelow tomorrow after the game, and get quick reaction. If you're in the Discord, you can comment. You can tell us what you thought of the game, and we'll react to that during the course of the show as well. Bigelow will have a chance to talk with Hoiberg and the players after the game as well, and he'll give us the very latest on what they had to say as well. So make sure if you're new here that you're liking and subscribing both the Husker Max, the I-80 Club YouTube page, so you know when we're going live. Set those notifications because the time kind of varies for After Nebrasketball. And you can join us here every Friday at 11 for Nebrasketball Brunch Show. All right, Kaleb, anything else I need to mention Husker Max wise?
Nope, just visit huskermax.com and get links to a lot of stuff that we do for free, as well as a lot of stuff that gets linked to and shared from the I-80 Club.
All right. Hey, a lot of fun to do this show, guys. Thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to doing this throughout the year. We'll be here every Friday, and all the games but 2 will roll out that Nebrasketball After Nebrasketball schedule here probably today or tomorrow. Yeah. But the 2 games we're not doing is the Rutgers home game and at Washington. Rutgers is a scheduling conflict. At Washington is going to be like midnight. So we'll figure something else out. All right. See y'all later. Have a great show. Hold on. I got to do my heart. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.